the Rub Podcast, episode 10, man. We have been this year at it strong.
Double digits.
Like I said, got my right-hand guy in business with me always, Corbin Perry. And then we actually got a very special guest with us today, Jason McGhee, Dr. Jason McGhee. Man, I honestly don't even know how we became so close over the last few years. Obviously, I was, being a security officer at GRPS.
Yeah.
You were the principal at Coit at the time, and I think it was at a after-school event. I want to say it was some form of what do you call those when it's a big gym and there's just tables and everybody get to go see the different schools and stuff like that.
Like the theme school. What do we call it?
Like displays or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the theme school recruitment fair. It's one of those things we do in the district.
Okay. And we locked eyes and we started talking. I'm a security, so I'm just going around making my rounds, and we started talking, and it's like from there, I don't know, man. We just kind of like homies and friends. Like we had conversations that I haven't even had conversations with people I've known for 10 plus years of my life. So it was something, bro. I don't know. It was like that brotherhood automatically between us. So man, it's been a blessing and honestly a pleasure being able to get to know you over the last few years and everything like that, bro. So if you don't mind, man, just kind of get right into it. Just kind of telling the people more about yourself, exactly who you are and exactly what you do.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for letting me be here. It's real simple, man. I'm just like everybody else, honestly, man. I'm a kid from Detroit, humble kid from Detroit.
Yes, sir.
Grew up with my mom worked at General Motors.
Yes, sir.
My dad dipped out at 3.
Yes, sir.
I grew up without a father, and then I ended up having to borrow somebody else's dad who was, in the house, and but he wasn't mine, And so growing up, I had to grow up real quick.
Yes, sir.
Real quick. 8 or 9 years old, I was like, my mom was like, yo, it's you. I need you to help us out. And you got 2 little brothers, and I work at GM, and I work the second shift. So I ended up being everything for them.
Yes, sir.
So I had to stop being a kid at 9 years old. And looking back now to that time, I'm like, yo, you shouldn't have to go through that as a kid. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot of skills. Like I learned how to cook. I learned how to iron. I learned how to take care of my brothers because when she was gone to work, we were at home by ourselves. We got home from school, my mom was gone. We only really saw her on the weekends at long spurts of time because, you work for General Motors, bro. Sometimes you working days, then it's shift, and you working afternoons, and you working midnights. So it was always this thing, but there was a good amount of time where she worked afternoons, and I had to hold it down. So making dinner, making spaghetti.
After school and everything.
Making sure we had to play in the backyard because we didn't want the neighbors to know that we were home by ourselves.
Yeah.
But the thing was, we had a basketball hoop. Dope basketball hoop. And guess what? We the only one of them about to have it. So who came to our backyard? Everybody. And so we had to make sure, like, y'all come hoop. But then when that stuff would jump off,
yes, sir.
It wasn't a good look because she wasn't there. So anyway, I did that, man. From Detroit, man, Detroit Public Schools. End up going to Michigan State University.
Yes, sir.
Go white, man. And that's where I really cut my teeth.
Yes, sir.
Michigan State University, got my undergrad in graphic design, art education. Went and got a master's degree from there.
Yes, sir.
And I went and got my doctorate from there.
Yes,
so I got the trifecta.
Wow.
Right? All at Michigan State University. Right. That's where I met my wife. Fast forward,
and
man.
your wife's a doctor, from my understanding, correct?
Man, yes, she's.
You got a doctor household, man. Seriously.
Yeah, so my kids, man, they don't. It's not a game. Like they got. We raise the bar. These cats, like they should be working on their thesis right now. Like, I don't know, but take this alone. Like we did it.
Yeah.
So. No, my wife has she has an MD. She's an OBGYN right here in Grand Rapids, Spectrum Health.
Oh wow.
She's doing, and guess what? I don't know if you know this. You might not know this. She's back in school.
I did not know that.
Man, she's working her MBA.
Wow.
At one of the most prestigious schools in the country, University of Michigan.
Wow.
Right, the Ross Executive
Program. At State.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
That's a real thing, right?
What are you gonna
so
do?
her parents went to Michigan.
Yeah, okay.
Right. She went to state first. And so now we got this thing going.
Now you're a split family.
Right. She got all this gear down. Like, how you gonna rock Michigan when we got?
Oh no.
Right. So she's just so dope, man. She's the smartest person I know, and I'm glad she took a chance on me.
Yes, sir.
Because we're a really tough couple, man. It's like we here, you know. So what you want to do? And then we got 3 beautiful kids, man. 11. I got a 14-year-old boy, Jason the second. Taylor, she's 11, and Carter, he's 7. And this cat's gonna be, he's a gymnast, man.
That's what's up, man.
He's gonna go to the Olympics, man, because he's dope. Just got invited to go down to Indianapolis.
Oh, wow.
Right, as a 7-year-old for this program called Future Stars. So when they recognize you, they say, "Hey, come down here and work out with us for a whole day." Like from 8 to 5, they were working out.
Wow.
Like he's 7, bro.
That's very inspiring for him. Probably that's cool. That's a great memory.
He's a beast. He learns quick. He's disciplined and he's funny.
Yes, sir.
But he's just like me. But he's different.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, man. I'm an educator.
Yes, sir.
I'm an educator, man. I work in schools. Right now in Innovation Central High School, Grand Public Schools. I've been in the Grand Rapids since 2008.
Yes, sir. You was originally at Creston, correct?
Yeah.
And Miss Williams actually. So I told Miss Williams, I said, Jason McGhee's going to be on a podcast later today because I subbed at City. Miss Williams is the gym teacher. She also worked at Creston. If people don't know, the building that City High Middle School is in was Creston. Since 19...
Oh, man. However long this...
50s, 60s, or even before that, possibly. So when you go up to the school, it's engraved in the building, but obviously everywhere else it says City High Middle School and everything like that. So shout out to Ms. Williams, but she spoke extremely highly of you and everything like that as well, man.
That's what's up.
But you, like you said, you're currently a principal at Innovation Central and everything like that now, and kind of go... So you told them more so about the professional side, and I feel like even the things you do on your personal level is still part of your professional. But kind of tell the people what you do besides being a principal and everything like that.
All right. So outside of being a principal, being in schools, I found a way to tie in what I'm really passionate about, what I do every day. Right. So I have this focus to really help schools, families, and communities.
Yes, sir.
I am a motivational speaker. Right. I am a life coach. And and some people call me a chef, man.
You are a chef.
I'm a home cook.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You're a chef, man." I'm like,
what's the difference, man? You're a doctor, you know what I mean?
right. But I ain't that kind of doctor, right? But I still rep that. And that's like my moniker now. Like even when I go places, go to conferences, they're like, "Hey, what's your name?" I don't say Jason because I don't really go by that. I go by McGhee.
I thought you were gonna say chef.
No, I go by McGhee, man. It's been McGhee for a long time. But with this doctorate now, it's like it's Dr. McGhee, and like that's like the brand now. Dr. McGhee is the brand. So it's like let's roll. So life coaching, professional speaking. Oh man, and that space. I love it, man. I love it. I love putting on workshops. I love talking to people. I love getting in front of people and having this conversation about confidence and hope and understanding that there is a way. Like that's it right there. There's a way. You know what I'm saying? And so I came up with this idea, right? Called the. So I love leadership. Leadership is my thing. Education, and I came up with this term. So you always hear about these different leadership styles, right? So I'm always like, what am I? What's my style? And it's like, okay, I'm a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I came up with my own style.
Yes, sir.
I created, it's like hip hop, man. I created my own style. And it's called the transformational leader.
Okay.
Right, so transformational leadership is what I do. And what that is it's a mix between transformational leadership, where you're going to transform and change people, places, things, going to transform. In the middle is service-oriented, right? Servant leadership is in the middle. And on the end is inspirational leadership. So transformational leadership. And I said, that's it, baby. That's it. Transformational leadership. So that's what I'm about, man. So how can I help transform? How can we serve? How can we inspire so that people can lead, learn, and love in schools, families, and communities.
Yes, sir.
That's how I just wrapped it up. I just did
Seriously,
that.
man.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's what I do, man. I love it. I love speaking. I love coaching, man. I love helping people find their way, man. So
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you feel like your childhood, your growing up, was a part of that? Like the fact that you had to be so like independent at such a young age and everything, and you kind of pushed through that and everything. Do you feel like that those two things are pretty closely related? Like because you got out of that, you know, because you see people that are in those situations that don't come out that way, you know, and it's hard to understand sometimes why. I mean, you had the setup to not come out of that situation. In the shape that you are, you know. Right. So a lot of people don't. So you know, that's cool that you kind of turn around into helping people, presumably who are in those kind of situations, because there's a lot of them.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And you're absolutely right. Yep. And to make it make sense to me, I had to make it work together. So being 9 years old, being this young man and not being a kid anymore, you had to make certain decisions and sacrifices and compromises. I learned that stuff early. And I knew that in order for me to be successful, I had to apply it. But I learned it as a kid.
Very young.
You know, so absolutely. That's where it comes from, man.
That's amazing. Sometimes those things are I don't necessarily want to say traumas. That's not exactly a trauma, but like hardships, you know, and things growing up. Like sometimes it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes people come out of that not so great, but sometimes it's really the fuel that kind of lights the fire under you, you know. And it's like you kind of wonder sometimes, without those situations, would I even be the person that I am today? Would I, if I could go back, would I have it any other way? Because I might not be who I am now, and I love who I am now. So would I change that?
Come on, man. Come on. It's like you've been listening in my household. Like I had some pillow talk with my wife the other day, and this conversation came up. So I feel like you've been in my house. And so we gotta look at that.
Yeah, look at your technology.
I see, you knew I was coming
check
on
your
here.
Google. Check your Google.
So, no, man, check this out. It hit me. I went to a conference this past weekend, and when I came back, I had a chance to really like think through things. And you hit the nail on the head. I've always prided myself on this being 9 years old, being grown up, being able to handle it. Like, yo, I'm good. Like, I forgave my dad at 15. Like, who does it at 15? But like, Dad, I forgive you. That's what I did, though. I looked him in the eye and was like, look, you ain't been here. You here now. I forgive you. 15. But it goes back. I talked to my wife the other day, man, and I was like, you know what? There's trauma. There was trauma with that. Being 9 years old. I'm supposed to be 9.
You knew that when you were a kid too. You knew that. Because other kids not.
But I couldn't focus on it because we had to eat. I couldn't focus on it because we had to go to school. I couldn't focus on it, Corbin, because my mom looked me in my eye and said, she grabbed my face and said, "Listen, I need you. I don't have enough for a babysitter anymore. So I need you to be here. Make sure that y'all don't get caught outside. Make sure they eat. She said, I just need you." And I said, "Mom, I'm gonna cry." I looked up and I gave her that salute. I got you. At that moment, I stopped being the kid. I put childish things away.
You shouldn't have to make that commitment at 9 years old.
Exactly. Right.
And it's funny. I think me and you may have talked about that with some personal things in my life. And for you to mention that, that's probably why me and you connected so well, because it was something that you seen in me and vice versa, that we shared that trauma together. And it's not necessarily an offense or a bad thing to use that word trauma, because it definitely is a sense of trauma. Bro, when me and Monique, when we was up at the lake house this past weekend, I think Friday, we was on a date, we was talking, and Monique is always, as my woman, as my wife, as my everything, she always trying to figure me out. I think that's somewhat what women do. So in saying that, bro, she was talking about certain things. She said, "Brian, I think the reason why you so mature, why you willing to make sacrifices and do those things, because you have to do those things at a young age." I don't know necessarily the word for it, but that is necessarily as a term, as when you're a young man, there's no man in the household, and your mom pretty much make you the man in the household at 7, 9, 10 years old. And now you feel like you gotta be somebody that you're not even ready to be yet. You gotta be 17, 18 at the age of 9. You get what I'm saying? So do you guys know the exact term for that? But I do know it's a certain term that's actually for that piece of trauma and everything like that. But I just kind of wanted to share that because you literally was talking in the mirror when you were just kind of explaining your story right there. You know what I'm saying, and everything like that. So I'm thinking, I'm like, that was somewhat trauma bonding when we first met. You know what I'm saying? Without even knowing.
Without knowing.
I see you.
I
see you.
Yeah, that's real though. That's real.
And there's a turn for it. It's slipped in my mind. It'll come to me, I'm sure. Probably on the drive home.
For sure.
It's the bump. It'll come to me. But no, it's definitely a real thing, man. And to be able to, take that radar and put that emphasis and focus on it, and then leverage that, it makes you a stronger man, man. It does, and it makes you a stronger father and a stronger husband, because you have more of a sense of self, and it creates that a broader space or a foundation, strengthens your foundation, fortifies your foundation, so that now when you go to the next level, it's easier because when you push off, it's more solid down there.
Agreed.
Right, for sure, man. So we'll come up with that term. We'll figure out what it is. You know what I'm saying? It'll come. It'll come, bro.
It's tough because that's something I've had a similar situation. I mean, I had somebody around. My dad kind of took off. We have a great relationship now for what it is, but my mom brought so like how you said it, I had to borrow somebody else's, so to speak. But it was kind of a situation where it almost would have been better for me if I had just been with my mom, because he was not a great person. So then it became him treating her terribly and me terribly, and it just went on for far too long, and it wasn't a great situation. And there was a lot of times in my childhood where I kind of felt resentment, and you can play the victim sometimes, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? And you could almost do that for your whole life. But if you kind of flip that over and just kind of realize, like, if some of these things didn't happen to people like us, how would people like us ever go and help other people who are having the same situations? It's a weird cycle. It's hard to like look at it and say like it's got purpose, but it kind of did in some sense, because now we can share how we got through those things and relate to people who just feel like alone or lost in those sorts of situations. Because I don't understand why, but some people just handle situations differently. And maybe it was your mom leveling with you that made you, you kind of put your chest out and said, all right, I gotta do it. And maybe some other kids that you didn't have a dad in the house and mom wasn't as strong as yours, and so they didn't have that call to action, so to speak. And so it kind of does make me wonder, like, if we hadn't gone through those things, who would help people that are, Right. So it's a strange cycle. It's a very strange cycle.
Here's the thing, though. We're all wired a certain way. Right? There's like 4 premium behaviors that we all have. And so for me, the way that I'm wired to please people. So my mom, I'm going to take care of her because I want her to be proud of me. I want her to be okay. I want to make sure that she's good, so that, because if she's good, then we're going to be good. So my thing was, and I've been a people pleaser, and I've been that way all my life. Now, it's a gift. And it's a curse. At the same time. Because now when I say I'm a people pleaser, can you imagine what the other side of that looks like?
Yeah, people take advantage of that.
Come on. Take advantage of you. You don't reach your goals because you're always taking care of everybody else. You look at yourself last. You take care of you. And by the time you give yourself in time to you, it's not enough. And then you go back to taking care of everybody else. I took care of my brothers for all their lives, man. And then when I went to college, to Michigan State, when I left Detroit, man, I didn't get phone calls from my brothers. We were tight.
Really?
They felt like I abandoned them.
Oh no.
My dad already abandoned us. So now Big Brother's abandoning us. So now the way they looking at me and having relationships with me, it's like, yo, you know what? I ain't feeling you like that, because what's gonna happen is I can't get close to you because you're gonna abandon me, like my dad did, like my brother did. That's all I got. So it's a gift and a curse, man, to be able to be wired the way that I am. But if you're wired a different way, right? So if you're not wired through the people pleasing lens, right? Let's say you're wired through a lens that says, hey, I always follow the rules, I always follow procedures, I always follow these systems, and because they're going to treat us right. Religion, right? On the church. I go to school, I do well in school because school starts at this time, I get up, I just follow this system right here. And then, so you follow that blindly. Great. There's another side to it. You're striving for perfection, quality, excellence. you're so focused on that, you don't even care about the people that are around you. You're not paying attention to them because all you're focusing on is the system. Turn my grades in, turn my stuff in, and you forget about people. Your relationships suck. I'm telling you, it's a gift and a curse. The things that make you strong are the same things that can tear you down and be a demise to everything that you think about or try to do.
That's very true. Yeah, right? That's very true.
So I study that stuff, man, and I love it because I think it makes. I don't care what industry you're in. If you start processing through how you behave, how you prefer to behave, you can go back to that space when you were 13 years old and you don't understand why you can't move forward because you were stuck as a 13-year-old. And you still stuck there because you never got over daddy leaving, mom getting divorced. The fact that you had to grow up and you didn't really forgive your mom for doing that. You have resentment to your mom and you don't even know why. Right? You didn't get through that. So you stopped growing at 13 and now you're 30. With the same problems, the same daddy issues. Right? So how can you go back and unlock? You have to increase your awareness of yourself. Increase your understanding of who you are. Right? So when I told y'all this transformational way, right? Way stands for something. It stands for W-A-Y. Who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? And where are you going? That's it. I asked 4 questions. I don't care who you are, how old you are. When we talking and kicking it, those are the 4 questions that are going to come up. If you want me to help you, let's answer those questions. And keep answering them because a lot
of people probably don't have answers for those questions.
Most people don't. No, especially who are you? To some people, I feel like I'm still figuring that out to some degree. We figure that out for our whole lives, but some people figure it out at different paces than others, that's for sure. But it's a journey, man. It's a journey of a question. You go through it you should always be asking yourself that question.
That's very true. That's very true.
Man. Let's go.
Do you guys, so during that journey that we were all talking about, and I want to ask Corbin this first because I know yours is going to take a little bit more in the show because I want to. No, it's not a bad thing. I want to hear more about it. But when I had talked about it before the show, I said we were going to talk about mentors. You have those people that you have growing up as an adult who somewhat always been a positive impact on you. Somebody that you can somewhat always count on. A person that you had those special moments with as a child and as an adult. Corbin, was there a particular person growing up? Do you think that you could look at as a mentor, even a mentor now, as an overall positive role model or impact to kind of help you get through those traumas and different things like that as a child?
I was very, very blessed and very fortunate to have my grandparents around. I kind of had a situation where I lived with my mom, stepdad. I would spend at least a couple nights a week at my grandparents. I just growing up, I think that my mom and dad were always working. Stepdad too, when he came into the picture, they were working a lot. And so when I was very young, my grandparents were always very close by. We lived here in Rockford, and they lived over in Lake Bella Vista. It's like 5-10 minutes from wherever we were living. They were 5-10 minutes away. So I'll go to my grandparents all the time. And my grandparents were they were basically mortgage brokers for a long time. They were mortgage brokers for like 30 years. They were pretty successful. They did really well for themselves. As they got older, they had a pretty religious foundation and everything. So it was an interesting situation. I had like 2 very different contrasts. Like, I love my mom. My mom has grown up quite a bit as a person, but we had some times when I was younger where she was still figuring herself out too. It was a little bit chaotic. And what I had at home definitely was not the example for what I wanted to become, what I'm glad I didn't necessarily become. And I was so lucky, so fortunate to have my grandparents because even though it's kind of funny because when you live in chaos, you almost learn to love it in a weird way sometimes, or like learn to, you almost feel uncomfortable without it. And so it was funny because I go to my grandparents and they were the complete opposite. Everything was always tidy. Everything is taken care of. They're responsible. They're just everything. They're a perfect package. I mean, my grandparents are the best people on earth. And I would go back and forth and kind of almost sometimes get like annoyed at how I still do sometimes. You know what I mean? At how just damn perfect my grandparents are. Like I lived with them for a little while a few years ago, and for a little bit, and it would bother me so much because I'll be going to cook on the stove. It looks like it's never even been used, you know, because they just clean it up all the time. They use it, they clean it. They use it, they clean it. My grandma be standing there while I'm cooking, waiting for me to finish. You know, I throw my dish in the sink, she'd be behind me. You know, not on an obsessive, you know, like control. That's just how they are, man. Mm-hmm. And I was so fortunate to have them because my grandpa was the kind of person that just he was a people pleaser in some sense. He would do absolutely anything for anyone who needed help at any time for always the right reasons. And just observing that when I was a kid, seeing him go out of his way to help people and just the way that he treated people was, if I didn't have that, I do often wonder who would I even be if I didn't have them around, because all the other influences that I had in my life they weren't them, you know what I mean? And I do think that because I was around them so much and because they were so goal-oriented and successful and just mindful and always present, that is what I kind of looked at as a kid and emulated, even though sometimes it was like, you know, because it's work, man. It's work to be that way. It's work to be to grow up, I guess, you know, and to be an adult and all that. And so living with my mom and stepdad a lot was kind of like, you know, I could be lazy. I could goof off. You know, I never really got in any trouble or anything, but they would kind of just leave me alone. And sometimes when you're a kid, you kind of like that. You kind of want to be left alone. Sometimes that structure is like annoying, you know. And so I had that weird contrast. And even though sometimes I go over there, you know, they make me eat my vegetables and stuff. It would annoy me, but I'm thankful for it. You know what I mean? You know, that sort of thing. So yeah, without them, I definitely I wonder very often what my life would be like and what person I would be without that kind of that back and that just seeing both sides of the situation, relationships too. You know, my mom and stepdad wasn't a healthy relationship. It just never was. And so if that had been my only example of what a relationship was like, I can't imagine how I would be in relationships. And seeing my grandparents, I think they've been married over 30 years now. Perfect relationship. I mean, it just doesn't get better. So being able to see that, I was luckily able to pluck out like what was right, what was wrong, what was good, what was bad. And I think I was able to definitely mitigate a lot of bad decisions that I could have otherwise made if my only influence was just not, you know, if I didn't have them around. So that was definitely that's definitely my number one role models and what did you call it, influence or mentors. Yeah, they're my mentors for sure. And to this day, I can always look to them for that sort of thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
So even hearing your story, bro, maybe that's the reason why me and Corbin connected so well when we first met, because I kind of grew up pretty much in the same predicament. I was very close with my grandmother and everything like that growing up. I mean, every day we was there after school because my mom got off of work at 7:30. You get out of school at 3. You go to your grandmother's house until I get off. And even sometimes on the weekends, we'll go over there and just kind of hang out there with my mom and everything like that. So I would say my grandmother was probably the biggest impact on me as a child. Kind of getting that genuine and unconditionally love. I think a grandparent is something that any child pretty much needs. They kind of just give you something that your mom and dad don't, and it's not their fault. They're just not as seasoned in the game as far as your grandparents been around the block and all of that good stuff. So I would definitely say my grandmother, my Uncle Rick, my Aunt Sharon. They used to do a lot of stuff with me and my sister as a kid. They used to reward us by taking us to the movies every month, doing something with us with our report cards, creating that structure, creating that overall expectation. It's okay to do good. Let's aim for greatness, that type of thing. So I would definitely say them. And lastly, and I hope I'm actually going to send him this directly. I would probably say Raynard Ross. We didn't talked about it, but I don't even still think he knows. I would say Raynard was probably the first example, and this is no discredit to any of the relationships in my families or any around my friends or anything. But when I got into high school, and I met Ross in the 8th grade because he recruited me for the Upper Bound program. And being a part of that, seeing him interact with his kids, him bringing his wife around during the summer program and stuff, I never saw that stuff as a kid. It was normal in my school that if it's 25 kids in the classroom, probably 18 of them don't have two-parent household, and the ones that do, probably 50% of those are unhealthy. Right. You know what I'm saying? So saying that, seeing him, and then not really knowing the impact he was making on me at the time necessarily, but I would definitely say right now Ross, who was a mentor, a brother, a friend, way more than that. But obviously even now, I done had personal and challenging conversations with Chris Mathis, my business coach friend, Ray Jones, business partner and friend, having deep conversations, somewhat that we didn't have ourselves and stuff like that. So I told Monique this actually earlier today. I said, babe, I think about it. I don't hang around nobody my age. I said, I need to get some friends. I need to get some friends. Right, you know, like, you're the closest, bro. Everybody else, there's a...
Me too.
10 to 15 year gap.
Me too.
And then even growing up, my best friend was my cousin Ryan. And Ryan, I'm 28. He was 7, 8 years older than me. I would even say that my cousin Ryan made a very positive impact on my life as well. So, talking about mentorship, like I said, I know I wanted you to elaborate on this, and I want to share with the people. One of your closest mentors, or if not your closest mentor, is Eric Thomas.
Yes.
If Eric Thomas, also better known as E.T., is pretty much, you would say, the most qualified motivational speaker there probably is. I want to say in the world. He speaks for NFL teams, professional sports. I mean, I seen him one time at Ferris my freshman year. The room was packed. I literally was standing by the back door because everybody knew what he was going to say was going to make some form of an impact on how they was going to wake up the next morning. You kind of know what I'm saying? And Mr. Ross actually used to share his videos with me before I met E.T. Well, not necessarily met him, but seen him there at Ferris. So if you don't kind of go deeper into how you guys got so close and exactly the impact that E.T. makes on you.
Great question, man. This is perfect because you're absolutely right. So I met E, and I want to say it was like 99, 2000. I was in Michigan State, and he just got there, and I was in a room like you were. I didn't know who this dude was. We were in a room and they had the speaker come in. And so I'm in here and I'm watching the speaker, and he started the conversation with something I've never heard before. He said, I'm looking around this room and I can assure you that I've never slept with anybody in here. And he stopped. And I said, I never heard nobody start like that or like have such a bold confession. Like, he started with integrity.
That's right.
He's letting you know, listen, I'm not that guy that's gonna have skeletons in my closet. I have character. I have integrity. So I started listening. And I ain't stopped. So from that point, man, Michigan State, he was at the time he was working on his master's. Wow. And I was finishing up my undergrad, right? And I would just see him on campus. He would speak, I would go. And I was also tied to a guy named DeAndre Carter. Now before E, DeAndre Carter was the guy doing the motivational stuff. He was sitting, but when E came, and so I would go to all his stuff, man. Anything he did on campus, I would be there, and I would try to help out. And so we got to know each other that way. Fast forward, man, being at Michigan State, fast forward, I would say once he started, so watch this. The video that went viral for him, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe.
I seen that.
Right? That video, right, that was at Michigan State. I made sure several of my students went to see his presentation. And they're in the video too. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, I sent y'all to go see him.
Share a little bit of that information to Corbin about that video. The
Guru story?
Is it the Guru about taking him out to the water? Can you share that story with Corbin? Is it our viewers and everything like that?
Oh, absolutely. So So check this out. So there was this conference, right? And I ain't gonna say it as good as E. I promise you I won't. But I'll give you the gist of it. There was this conference going on, and there was a guru that's expert, and at the end of the conference, this guy walks up to him and said, "Hey man, I want to be successful like you." He said, "Well, if you want to be successful like me, meet me at the beach at 4 a.m." He said, "That sounds kind of weird, but okay, I'll do it." So the next morning, he got up at 4 a.m. He sees the guy out at the beach, and he said, "Hey, what's up? 4 a.m. I want to be successful. I'm really not trying to swim, but I want to be successful, right? So what's up?" He said, "Well, come on out in the water." And he was like, "That's kind of weird. So, but I'm gonna come out in the water because you said you're gonna show me how to be successful." And then he moves farther back in the water. He said, "Keep coming." And so as they kept walking in the water got to about right here, right? And he said, "Come here." And so the guru, or this guru grabbed him and dumped his head into the water, right? And so the guy's struggling, and he's fighting, and he's swinging, and he let him up, put him back in, right? Let him up, and he said, "What did you want more than anything in the world at that point?" He said, "I wanted to breathe." He said, "If you want to be successful," he said, oh man, how we say it? I'm messing up now.
He says you have
when you want to breathe as bad as you want to succeed, then you'll be successful.
Right. Yeah.
That was the aha, man.
Yeah.
When you want to breathe as bad as you want to succeed, then you'll be successful. The only thing that guy wanted at that time, he didn't want money, he didn't want elephant ears, he didn't want to see his girlfriend, he didn't care about his shoes, he just wanted to
focus. That's all he could think
He wanted
about.
that breath.
Yeah.
Because he was going to die.
Yeah, that's true. There really doesn't seem to be any in between, does there? You can't succeed at a snail's pace.
No.
Like there's no chipping away at it.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta make a lot of sacrifices to really succeed. Is what I think I've learned. There's just no. I mean, and everybody's definition of success is a little bit relative. But,
yeah.
I mean, if you really truly want to succeed, if you want to make a difference, want to make an impact. That's very true. You got to be so laser focused and so willing to sacrifice that you got to want it more than anything.
Yeah, and I would challenge that thought and say, you know what, you might have to chip away at it.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Don't stop.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah,
laser focus and chipping away at it.
Yeah,
because,
yeah. That's
sometimes
right. It takes time. You're not going to succeed overnight. And that's,
yeah, right. So yeah, man, I said my students to see that, and that jump went viral quick.
That's right.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
Yeah.
So that thing took off, man. And by that time, I was in graduate school. I was he was in graduate school as well, finishing up. And he started hitting the YouTube scene. Thank God it's Monday.
Yeah.
So every Monday he had this Thank God it's Monday, and he had these 3 tips he was gonna give you, and I watched it faithfully.
Yeah.
I watched it faithfully.
I like that.
Yes, sir. And that and we would just keep in touch from here and there, right? It wasn't because I was gone, right? I had finally got to a point I moved to Grand Rapids, so he's still in Michigan State, so we would cross paths all the time.
Yes, sir.
And I stayed connected. And then once he started to really blow, I was like, oh, okay, cool. We on. And no, man, I just I learned so much from this guy as he grew and developed and created these videos, and then started having conferences and then T-shirts, and so he built this company.
Wow.
Right? And I decided that he is the tribal leader.
Yeah.
And I want to follow him.
Yeah.
And so I did, man. And I'm at a point where I got, even though we have a relationship, but I know him, we know each other, he's still my coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's my coach. So he's my coach taught me how to be a life coach and a speaker. How can I, who else would I go to teach me how to speak? Other than the guru of speaking. Right. So, one time, man, it had been a long time since we had seen each other, because he's been in Major League Baseball, commercials, NBA, NFL, just rocking it, man. And I was at a conference called the 1% Conference. This was probably 2018, and I went to the conference, and so I'm like, yeah, I'm about to do this life coach stuff, like for real. And at the end of the conference, we were just standing around, I was minding my own business, and all these people are in line taking pictures with E, right? And so he's taking pictures, and with all these people. I'm kind of in the back of the room just chilling. I'm talking to somebody else. I'm talking to the guy I'm telling you about, DeAndre Carter, the other motivation. We both were there.
Yeah.
And so we kicking and chopping it up like we are right now. And he was like where Corbin is, but about 50 yards away at the front of the auditorium. And so at my corner of my eye, I see him say, hold up. And he ran down the aisle. And he was like, Jay, what up? And everybody started looking at me like, why would E break doing what he's doing to this dude?
Yeah.
Like, and looking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, just don't know. So, no, man, I follow E, man. He's not only is he a motivational speaker, not only is he a life coach, this dude he's a full-blown pastor, man.
Oh, wow.
He has church.
Wow.
Like, his own church.
Man. Wow.
And so if you think he's a dope speaker, as a pastor, man, but his integrity, his character, it has not changed. And it's not that he's without flaws, but he's just a phenomenal example, man, of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a husband, a father, and that's why I take so much pride in that, because of people like E. So that's my guy, man. That's my guy. I love that guy, and I'm very a lot of my success I owe to him. Being a phenomenal principal, a phenomenal husband, a phenomenal father.
Yeah.
I owe it to E, man. So that's my guy, man. I just saw him last week, man, and it was I can't put into words how it felt being in the same room with him.
Yes, sir.
And I know him.
Yeah.
You imagine not knowing him and then just, bro, it's a different level.
Yes, sir.
It's different. He's an alien, man. He's not from here, man.
There's people like that, man.
Yeah, so that's been my mentor, one of my biggest mentors, my biggest inspirations.
Yes, sir.
Over the last few years, man.
Yes, sir. Well, man, I appreciate you sharing that with ourselves and Corbin and all of our viewers, man. Yeah. That's why, you know what I'm saying, I was like, man, we got to get Jay on the show eventually, because I also want to go deeper into your potential transition. Obviously, a couple years ago, and something that myself and Corbin been doing is obviously working for ourselves, being entrepreneurs, really taking that step and being like, okay, we're gonna really go with our purpose and everything. Because I see you use that word earlier, and we said purpose. Obviously, you being a leader, you being a principal, I think we can all agree to say that's probably a part of your purpose. No ifs, ands, buts about it.
It is.
However, I know we also talked about different challenges and eventually maybe potentially breaking away from other duties and really pouring into your motivational speaking and everything like that. I'm not saying necessarily you have to give us an overall time frame of when you want to make that transition or anything like that. But
in fact, you might not want to.
Yep.
I can understand
that. But for the viewers out there, man, that are in your position, that's like, man, they got an abundance of great things working for them. They're excellent outside of their 9 to 5, and they potentially thinking about it and highly considering it. What will be any advice that you would potentially give to them as you continue going through your process of potentially transitioning and going to everything full time? Yeah. So, man, like I said earlier, there are 4 questions you got to ask yourself and battle with every day. Who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? Where are you going? Those are the 4 questions you got to deal with yourself with. But in all of that, it's knowing you first. Know who you are, know what you're about, then know your purpose. You got to figure that out. And sometimes that's a journey in of itself. So that's the first part. If you haven't dealt with you, take your time, because you still need your structures and your systems in place in order to maintain what it is that you've done and what you've built. All right, so know yourself, and then after that, man, sometimes once you get that clarity, then you just gotta jump. You gotta just jump and not say, you know what, it's gonna be scary. Do it anyway. It's gonna be hard. Do it anyway. It's gonna be challenging. Do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's the second part, man. You gotta do that. And then the third part is just keep doing it over and over again. Now, I'm at a point where I'm at a school right now, and I'm ready to jump, man. I've been ready to jump for a long time, right? But the hard part is that the way my situation is set up as a principal, I'm a black man in the school, man. That carries a different level of perspective and weight.
I talked about abandonment, right? Bro, I got abandonment issues. So I left my brothers, right? My dad left me. I left my brothers. When I left Crescent High School, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yes, sir.
You know why? Check this out. Quick story. I always told my students that I was going to be with them for at least 4 years. And they were 9th graders, right? So I was like, 9th graders, you got 4 years, I got 4 years. The thing was, my wife had just started her residency here in Grand Rapids.
Yes,
we didn't know that when she was done, where she was going to get a job. So I don't know if I'm gonna be here after she's done with her 4 years. We might go to Vegas, we might go to Seattle, we might go to New York. I don't know. So I'm only guaranteeing you 4, right? At the end of 3 years, I got the job as an assistant principal.
Yes, sir.
So I'm like,
and where was that at?
What's that?
Well, if you were at Creston, what school did you become an assistant principal at?
Central.
At Central. Gotcha.
The school I'm at right now is principal.
Okay.
So I got the job and I was like, oh shoot, I gotta tell these cats.
I told them kids 4.
I told them 4. And I'm telling you, it was my thing. Like, listen, we're gonna do this together.
Yeah.
Right? They were in a tough program, the GRAPSET program. That's engineering biomedical science. It's not light stuff. They're taking STEM physics. They didn't take just physics. They didn't take just chemistry. They didn't take just trigonometry. Like they took STEM, the STEM version of physics, the STEM version of chemistry. Like it's all science, engineering, and math.
Wow.
Anyway, I told these cats, I'm gonna be with you, and we're gonna leave at the same time. That was it. We're gonna graduate together. At the end of 3 years, I got the job. One of my counterparts, before I could tell anybody, she put this little, congratulations, McGhee, you're going to. And so the kids would come into class and look at my office and be like,
no.
And man, I hope I don't break down and cry, man, because it's been a trigger point for a long time. And I'll never forget the look on these girls' faces, the look on these guys' faces when they said, "You leaving? You didn't have enough in you to tell us yourself." How dare you? Like this is what one girl said. How dare you? But it's okay. I expect that from somebody like you. It's been happening all my life, and why would it change now? And she walked away. That was hard for me, and it still is. Right? So I did recently finally talk to her. She reached out through another friend. You know, I keep in touch with a lot of my students. And she said, I think I'm ready to talk to McGhee. This is like in February.
So that was
2011.
Oh my God.
That's 11 years ago.
That was 2011.
Wow.
She said, I think I'm ready to talk to McGhee.
Oh my God.
And we sat and we ate and we just talked.
Did she understand why you did what you did?
She did.
Bro, the fact that you even have a connection and a relationship with those students though like that is amazing. Like that's sad, but like the fact that it's funny because even the short time that I met you when we were together, I could tell like the energy with you walking around and the way kids like looked at you and stuff was very different. I went to Rockford and like people, you know, respected their teachers or whatever, but like I don't really know that anybody had a connection like that. Like I'm sure there was. It's a big school. I mean, my graduating class was like 600 or 700 kids. But,
for sure.
You know, so I'm sure there were things I didn't see, but like just kind of watching you walk around and the way people looked at you and everything was just like just different. It's amazing that you can even have that relationship with them in the first place because I know that the one or two, like I said, I went to Rockford my whole life. The 1 or 2 teachers that I had that stuck out to me in a year, you know what I mean, changed my life. So the fact that you could do that, even and it's, you know, sad that something like that would happen, but for sure, for years, I'm sure you impact kids in a way that is just like sets them up to be better for the whole rest of their life. That is just that's a beautiful thing, man. That's amazing. That is really cool because like. And you know, I guess like I said, every school's different, every situation's different, but like I kind of felt like that was lacking for me when I was in school because maybe it was so busy. You know, we had 30 the average like classroom was probably 30 kids. Like it was just hustling and bustling. Everything was always moving and so it was just really nice. A few teachers that stood out to me, like 6th grade and a few in the high school were just like was so refreshing, and I'll never forget the impact, either small or large, that they had on me in that short time. So I can imagine that for every unfortunate situation you might have upset somebody is a million kids that just like you made an impact on their life that will never, that they'll just keep with them forever, you know, which is just that's a beautiful thing. That's amazing. That's something I think we could all strive for, you know. Everybody, it's kind of like cooking. People you like to cook for people because you like.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing, but it's like you like to serve. You know, you like to serve. You like to put that in someone's head and let them take that with them forever. Is that experience, you know? And that's that's a beautiful thing. That's really cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, man. That's it, and that was
the fact that you could even make somebody that upset just means that,
I ain't good like that.
You know, I mean, that's sad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like, nobody would be that upset if you weren't that important,
right? And
if you weren't that impactful and special, you know.
So that's the stuff I have to deal with. That's the other side of it,
hard,
right? So it's hard to leave.
Yeah,
I left Creston, man. I went over to Central, right? And you know, they were proud of me. Yeah. They were proud of me because this is what they knew that's what I wanted. I wanted to be an assistant principal. So they were proud of me. But at the same time, I left. And then even when I left Central to go to the elementary school, same thing. How you just gonna leave us? Yeah. You just gonna leave us like that?
And I could be everywhere I was.
Did the same thing. And so, and then when I left the elementary school, now this hit a little bit different. Why? These guys were younger. I was a rock star to these guys, man. Like, I could do no wrong. I could go off on the whole school. We would have lunch, and I'd be like, this is a quiet lunch. Ain't nobody talking. You eat and put your head down. And I'll dismiss you when I'm ready. Like, going off, right? Next day, it's like, Dr. McGhee. Like, nothing happened.
Yeah, man.
You know, so
that's that structure, though. That's the structure.
Man, I left those babies to go back to the high school.
Oh, man.
Not only were the babies impacted, I still have visions, sounds, and smells of some parents.
Wow.
I had parents hug me, and I had to be like, we're not in a relationship. I don't want nobody to think this is a thing. But they were hugging me, crying, saying, listen, I don't know what to do without you. You've been the father figure for my daughter, my son. It's been you. And so you're leaving. I don't know what to do. When that keeps happening, it's like,
what are you supposed to do?
I'm trying to elevate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But do I just leave my people? They need me, man. They need me. So left, came to the high school, right? But here's the thing too. If I added a fourth piece to that, those tips, it's like you have to stay with somebody that's going to be a guide for you.
Yes, sir.
You going into an entrepreneur, you going into the jungle, bro. You going into the abyss. And you don't know what's out there sometimes. It's dark. So you need somebody that's going to guide you and say, hey man, listen, I've been down this road. Don't go this way. Do not go this way. Stay here. You stay right here. Stay with a coach. And if you can't stay with a coach, that's not enough, get a therapist. Right? My therapist last week, we had a conversation, and this is what we're talking about. He said, so when you gonna do your entrepreneur thing, man? How long you gonna stay at the school? How long you gonna stay here? You talking about leaving, when you gonna leave? And I'm like, a couple of years. He said, well, why won't you leave? What's stopping you? And I said, man, I went back to the home girl, to the balloons and all. I went back to the elementary school. I went back to those spaces. I'm like, it's hard because as a black man, we represent 2% of the education population. Right, as far as teachers and administrators, 2%.
Wow. And it's ironic that you mentioned that because just me going back to the school in Selman, I talked to the president of PTSA and you know Miss Gina. I did her home inspection for her. Her, Rebecca, who's a counselor, and then like I said, the president of PTSA told me the same thing. He said, Mr. Chandler, we're glad that you're back in the building based on who you are and knowing that the kids who necessarily look like you have a form of representation of what structure and what you know what I'm saying, the good of our people and everything like that, bro. Yeah. So because I think city for the most part, a lot of the teachers are older, they're retiring, and then all of their leaders are women. They don't necessarily even have a dominant male role model at all, really throughout the school to make that impact. So I understand what the kids, I understand what you did to the kids by making that move. Yeah. However, I think what should fix all of that, or should at least make you feel better, is that you moving made a bigger impact on them without them even potentially knowing. They didn't understand it at the time, but you had to make that move because it wasn't just about you. And it wasn't just about them.
That's right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that's a challenge for people to understand that. But at some point in time, people have to grow, and we gotta go. Because if not, we stay there and nothing necessarily happens.
Yep. So you're teaching them with that how to get to that next level, and you gotta make decisions.
The amount of people that you can probably move your way up and help is just gonna expand with time.
That's why I wanted to go from the classroom to becoming a principal. It was a cognitive decision. It was an intentional decision. I didn't know when it was gonna happen, but it did, and I knew that I wanted to have a broader impact.
Yes, sir.
Instead of just my classroom. My classroom was dope. We were rocking.
Yes, sir.
In my first year teaching, I was teacher of the year.
Yes, sir.
Right? I was.
Yes, sir.
So it's like, how do I grow this?
Keep growing it.
That's why it's schools, families, and communities. I impact schools. I want to help families and then the surrounding communities. It takes all of us to make this jump work. It just does, man. So yeah, man, that piece, having a coach, having a therapist. My therapist was like, why won't you leave? It's hard for me.
You'll know when the time is right.
And just like you guys said, y'all should sign up, man. Get y'all some clients, because that's what they said. They said, look, you know what? He said, when you left, did the people that were in your care, were they eventually okay? I said, yes, they were good. He took them and they were good. He said, they're always going to be okay. They're always going to figure it out. When you left, when you went to college, this is the conversation I had with my wife. When you went to college, this is her. When you went to college, you were that person for the family. Like, I mean, I was driving around, making sure grandma got her medicine, took people to the grocery store. I did all of it. And when I left, guess what? They said they were cool. They figured it out. So I got to get in that space and stay focused there. Like you said, B, it's like it's bigger than that individual. These groups of people that I'm serving.
And it's bigger than you two. For sure. It's so obviously from Detroit, you know who Big Sean is, but he got a song and it literally talks about it's bigger than me, and it always is 100% of the time and stuff like that. This episode, I don't know necessarily, even with the vibe and everything that we've been talking about, I don't know if we necessarily even want to even go into any type of home maintenance tips typically at the end of the show, man, because I feel like we didn't touch on things that I necessarily even plan on touching about, but I'm glad that you were able to come on the show, bro, and have this I want to say this is probably one of the most in-depth conversations we didn't have on the podcast, man. But this is the reason why I wanted to have you on here, man. And as we go towards
before he gets too famous, he can't get on the podcast. You have a hard time reaching him. Or we have to pay.
Like, be able to need a few grand, man. You know, gotta have security.
Plus, when he does get famous, people can go look back in the archives and say, "Oh, he's on Under the Rug." So you're gonna have to watch. Our numbers gonna go.
So we appreciate you, man. As we go more towards the end of the show, typically how we wrap up is going over some goals. At the beginning, we necessarily didn't restate the goals that we went over last show. Or
if I remember what.
Yeah, man. It kind of feel like it's been.
We had a different episode last time. It was just you and I can't remember. We were talking about career changes and different things. I don't even know. I don't know what we said. Whatever we set our goals for last time, we're doing fantastic with them right now. I know that for a fact.
Agreed. So obviously, me and Corbin been working together consecutively now for almost 3 years, 2.5.
It'll be close to going on 4, and probably by next year. It's already the end of this year. It's been the fastest year of my life.
God.
It's been the fastest year of my life. It's like the clap back from the last 2 years being so strange, like that rubber band just pulled back. Now this one just the trajectory is just it's zooming.
So saying that, myself and Corbin, we're working on different things. We just met last week to work on improving the website to pretty much match all of that into our SEO and, you know, for Google rankings and different things like that. And we are also on a pace of having 200 5-star reviews by the end of the year.
Yo, let's go!
So
let's go. 201.
We're at 181 or 182 now. We got 3 more months to go.
You can get there by the end of the year.
I definitely think we can. So working on building those as well. Working on also coming up with an easier method in regards to the reports. Obviously, as a home inspector, after you do the inspections, you still have a form of paperwork to do. Eventually, I think the goal is to where maybe there isn't any paperwork to do necessarily. You're able to do everything right then and there at the property. And if that's the case, the value, not necessarily what we do, but what we're going to be able to offer future employees is just going to go up because we're going to be able to pay you more, and you make more money in less amount of time. It only going to add more value to that. So those are the things that we're working on. And then obviously the thing with home facts and stuff going on to next year. And before I let you and Corbin share, obviously at the beginning of the show, I kind of shared with you guys that yesterday was my wife Monique's 32nd birthday. And she was telling me, we were just talking, man, and she ended up finding out that she was pregnant yesterday morning. And it's ironic because she already had a doctor visit planned for yesterday evening.
Wow.
So she went there, they reconfirmed it, and man, I mean, even when she told me that morning when she took her own pregnancy test, on my way to the barber shop, something just kind of came over me, bro. I can't necessarily. So how? I don't know, bro. Just this last day, bro. This 24 hours has just been mentally different for me in a good way. I just naturally look at life different now. Knowing that I probably got about 7.5, 8 months to necessarily prepare myself to go on this journey relationship that's never going to end, right? And everything like that. So I'm looking forward to making myself a better person, to be even more disciplined, to be more motivated, be more inspirational, because those things are only going to trickle down into my seed. And as a parent, I would be selfish to not necessarily feed those things into my seed. So I gotta even be 100 times the man I once was, based on and the thing is, I've been having obviously an abundance of practice, with it, because when I met Monique, Monica was 3.5, 4 years old. So even being able to build that relationship with my stepdaughter, who I value as my own, and I'll be able to actually have my own born child, I'm kind of at lost the words for that, bro. How God, just within the last 24 hours, our connection and the conversations we done had is just, I don't know, man, how to really explain it. And everything like that. So that's pretty much my biggest goal, is to continue being the best person I can be, knowing that that's going to trickle down into my seed that me and Monique brings into this world together. And everything like that. So by the time this episode is actually released, it'll be November, October, November-ish. By that time, like yesterday, I told my mom, told my siblings, told my Uncle Rick and my cousin Ryan and different things like that. So just super geek, man, and looking forward to the process. But Corbin, yourself, man, any goals or?
I guess the last time we talked about, I accepted a job, which was kind of strange for me. I've been like freelance and doing my own thing for about 3-4 years now, but I just had an opportunity come my way that was pretty hard to pass up. So I want to give it a try. So I've been at that for actually only a couple of weeks, but officially started about 2 weeks ago, and I'm really happy with it. It's been going really, really well. The challenge for me is going to be like it definitely is taking up my time, which I'm not really complaining about, because I kind of equate, like I used to do short order cooking in restaurants. If it paid more, I could see myself doing that forever, because what I liked about it was I love cooking, and I love that it just, you get the tickets lined up. Before you know it, the whole lunch rush is gone, and it's about time to go already. I love that, being in the zone and just knowing what you're doing, and not even being kind of almost on autopilot. I do love that. And so this job, it just happens to be, it's front end development. It's something that I've been working at for a while. I'm good at it. I get that same feeling. So
good.
The whole day can go by and I just be like, I feel like it wasn't enough time in the day. You know, I don't,
oh, brother.
It's really nice. So I'm looking forward. I don't know how long that's going to last. I suspect at least a couple of years, and I don't know what it's going to turn into. Maybe a lifetime. I don't know. It's a cool opportunity. But that said, I've still got some other business. Obviously, Brian and I work together. I'm probably going to change a little bit, not much, but we're changing a little bit about how that looks. But we're kind of just focused. Everything kind of comes together at the right times. Like we're just focused on other things now that actually just so happens to be like probably going to keep me in my computer a little more anyways, which is where I'm comfortable. So that's all kind of lining up. But I do have some other business that the challenge for me is going to be like, I kind of gotta like, you know, I've been getting up 6 o'clock. I gotta go to the gym. I need to do it, you know. It's important to me right now, so I want to get in shape. I gotta get up early, go to the gym. Then I gotta get clocked in. Then I'm working till probably 5:30. Then I gotta set aside another couple hours because I got our stuff going on. I got other business. I got somebody working for me now that's been working out really well. So I gotta have that couple hours to really manage that. Even on the weekends, I gotta have a couple hours to get shit together for the week, because I got other people relying on me now, you know. So I'll be working a lot, and the challenge is going to be kind of just making sure that I only like I gotta find a balance, because I also got a relationship to maintain. I got a house to take care of, not my own house, but we got a space to take care of. You know, put it that way. That takes time too. So I got to be a little bit rigid about my time and saying, you know, I got this 2 hours after, you know, I clock out. Maybe that's going to be for other business. Then I gotta stop, because if I don't, I'll work until I fall asleep. I'll sit here and just, you know, nod off, just working, because I just sometimes I just don't have that cutoff. If I like what I'm doing, then I'm so blessed that a lot of the stuff I have to do is stuff that I like to do, but I gotta flip that switch sometimes. So that's gonna be the challenge for me, is just being so organized that I can be efficient with that sort of thing, have that 2 hours be enough to move things along. It's really forced me, like in my business, to be a delegator, and to just realize, like, if I only got 2 hours a day, that's maybe 10, 12, 14 hours a week, depending on the weekends and how I structure that and everything. I gotta make that time count, and then outside of that, I gotta have whoever's working with me and working for me know exactly what they need to do and how to do it, because that's the business now. It's not just me wearing all the hats and doing everything. I gotta start to give that to other people and give them opportunities, and it's been something we've talked about for forever, something I've been looking to do, and this has kind of just forced my hand into doing that. So and I'm happy about that, because it's like now I don't have a choice. I could either we were just talking about this last week. You know, you got people that kind of want to go to work, clock out, go home, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we know we're not not that person. You know, I'm not that person. But so it's gonna just be about setting a little bit of boundaries and really just learning how to make that work in a way that I can let that stuff go and just see how it turns out and just learn to manage, you know, and that sort of thing. So that's going to be my challenge for the foreseeable future, but you know, but I'm happy with it. It's going really well so far. So I got a lot of faith it's going to work out. It's going to be good. Yeah.
How about yourself, Jay? You got any goals?
Man, yeah.
A lot of them.
You know what? I'm trying to get away from that, because that's always my issue. So now I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I don't do anything, because I'm just like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much, and I get stagnant. So now I got 3. All right, so number 1, I gotta finish this book.
That's something.
Okay.
And we're waiting for it.
I gotta finish this book.
Okay.
So I'm working on that. I got accountability partners.
That's right.
That's a hard one, because you got to work all day. Same thing. You got to set aside that time.
Absolutely.
You can't spend 3 hours on it. Plus, you can't always get in the zone with that sort of thing.
Right.
That's a creative work. That's not something that you can just force yourself to do if you're not in the mood. That's a tough one.
Exactly. And I'm a creative person. I used to be an art teacher, man.
But
I want to get this book done. Hopefully, I can have it done.
What's the percentage? How far would you say you are?
How far?
Percentage-wise?
I got the title.
Okay.
But you know what? Right. Watch this. Though. I got a process that I started my own podcast.
That's right. Okay. I did not know that, man.
Yeah, I did. It's so selfish, man. Because it's really for me. I don't care if anybody ever sees it.
That's cool.
But I put it out.
That's how you should do it.
Listen,
that's how you should do it.
Every Sunday. It's called Principal Self-Care Sunday.
Okay.
So it's 2 for, man. It's helping me write. It's helping me write my book. but it's also helping me cope because, so a lot of times what I do is I'm an island and I don't get to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And so every week I process my week and say, okay, what if a new principal or a new leader, I don't care what industry you're in, what would they need to go through? I'm just going to share what I went through and how I dealt with it.
That's
and
perfect.
I put it on the podcast. I record myself. I get it in, and I'll take a snippet and put a little snippet on Instagram, and I got the whole video.
Yep.
And so that's my.
Yep.
And I'm going to use that stuff for my book.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
All right. So that's the thing. Hopefully, I have it done by my birthday.
For sure.
The second thing is, man, I gotta get my weight back down, bro.
I feel you, man. I'm with you on that.
I can't be triple double and everything.
I
I'm a good wife. I'm a good husband to my wife. Man, I'm a good father to my kids. I'm a phenomenal principal.
Yes, sir.
What about me? I can't do that and be like buff. Like, yo, I'm cooking every day for my family.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta figure out what we're eating tonight.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 8:30, 9 o'clock when I get home.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what that's gonna look like.
Yes, sir.
So it's tough, man. So I gotta get my weight down. I didn't got on Noom. You heard Noom?
No.
I have. Yeah.
Noom?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yep. I went and got the app, and it's dope because it's the psychology of eating. We learn about that first.
Okay.
So forget all that. I'm out here pumping. Cause I can do that part. That's easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Meal planning. I can do that.
You can ruin your whole thing though. You can work out for 2 hours and then eat 3 donuts and your day's ruined. You're done. You know, that's the hard part.
So psychologically, they'll mess you up.
That's the hard
Noom
part.
keeps you on track with that. It's like,
Okay.
listen, hey, it's okay, but eat some more of those green foods to offset that.
Yes,
Eat some berries, man. Eat some berries.
Right. Right. So that piece, man, is and then I got Sean Stevens' book, Eat Smarter.
Okay.
The first 2 chapters of that is amazing because they don't tell you about fats and how that works for you. And people say you need fat. You need fats.
Yeah.
And this is what fats does. This is what cortisol does in your body.
They demonized them for us when
have.
There was a little propaganda when it came to saturated fats, and they made us think if you eat fat, it's going to clog your arteries. The fat's going to clog your arteries. That's not how it works. And they made us scared of fats, and that is not true. There's some bad things you shouldn't be eating, but generally speaking, there's healthy fats, and they will change your whole life. That is for sure. If you're not eating them, get on it.
So I recommend it already. I'm only about 3 chapters in.
What's it called?
Eat Smarter.
Eat Smarter.
Eat Smarter. Get that book.
Okay.
There's another book I'm promoting in a minute too. So that's my second one. And then my third one is, man, how do I get closer and closer to balance?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to overdo stuff. I don't want to underdo stuff. I just need to be right about here. How do I continue to do that?
Yeah.
Right. So that's more of a spiritual type, but that's more of that.
100%.
What does that look like in all these different aspects of my life? This idea of balance, man, and being a little bit more selfish, bro. That's it. And so the next book is You Owe You. You Owe You. ET's new book is called You Owe You.
I like that.
And and it's like you gotta listen. You've been working so hard to get where you are. You got all these goals, and you've been giving it off to other people. I've been saying this all day. Now it's time to take care of me. How you gonna fill somebody else up when your stuff is empty? Right? There's no way I can go and this is all I got left.
Yeah. That's for sure.
When do I get to a point where I start doing this?
Yeah. Amen. That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So that I can get back into the school,
spread that out,
and do this, or do this to my family, right? My kids, right? And make sure I don't deplete myself before I do this
to give. Yeah, that's very true,
bro.
That's very true.
That's what. That's what.
I look forward to the day that we get to see you make that transition, because I'm sure whenever that time comes, you'll know when it's right, and we'll get to say, I know that guy. I'm podcast with that guy, man.
Hey,
he's on a path like this right now. Like,
I know it's real because right before I came here, my last meeting was with my boss, and we were talking about being healthy, man. Take care of yourself. And I looked at him. I said, "Listen, I ain't doing this forever, man. What about the pension?" I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna give you out about at least 3 years, 3 or 4 years, and I'm done." I said it. You know how hard it was for me to say that to him? But I said it. So now, once I said it,
I feel that.
It's coming, man. So I just gotta put a date on it, and it's gonna happen.
That's for sure.
Guaranteed.
You'll know. Yeah, you'll know. Everything will line up. Yep. That's awesome.
So that's where we are, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you again, man, for joining us and blessing us with your presence on this podcast, man. If you don't mind sharing your contact information, if anybody is looking to book you for any type of speaking engagement, events, motivation, or anything like that,
right there.
Just kind of share, you know what I'm saying, your
Absolutely.
contact information, social media, email, or anything like that, where people can reach you at.
Yeah, man. So the best place is just my website, www.drjmcgee.com. You can go there and you will see, and so you can book me. You can see what I'm about, what we're doing. That I'm on Instagram at Dr. J McGhee, Facebook, the Transformational Leader. The Transformational Leader.
I love
you
your
find me there. Man, listen, I'm trying to make this thing work.
Yeah.
Right, Transformational Leader. And then what else? Instagram. I said Instagram, Facebook. Man, listen, I'm on those platforms, and I do a word of the day. I don't do it every day anymore.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah, man, I didn't get to do it today, though. I'm kind of mad. I'm like, oh, the word was thorough today.
Sometimes you just need to record like 4 of them when you're.
It's uploaded. Right? It's uploaded. But we had a really crazy week this week, so they're like, we need you in the building. I do them in the morning.
Yeah, that's so, otherwise the day get you.
Exactly. But yeah, word of the day, man. I do that on Instagram and Facebook. So those are the best places to reach me, man. So
send it to us after. We'll put it on the website.
Yeah, drjmcgee at gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Man, we about to take to another level, brother.
Yes.
That sounds like a plan, man. And then that is a wrap. That's
Yeah, thank you for coming.